you win some, you lose some, and sometimes you just mess it all up. So CBS 7 kickoff is deep, and it's going to be off the net. It's going to be grabbed by Isaiah Scott. Isaiah Scott makes one man miss the handle. Takes it to the near side. Scott, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. Right. Walks it right in. Play on that ball right over top of the defender. And more see the replay here. He put Caleb Smith in motion with Jonathan Banks. Just do a little swing pass. And Caleb Smith with the rest. There. He's got a lane in the middle if he can get past him. And he might be good for a touchdown. There it is. And wow! Trayvon Sidney straight down the middle. Pulls a move on the kicker. And he's in the end zone for about
60. And we are back with another episode of Arena Football Weekly. Adam and Trey. Trey's back in off the road. Adam is still running crazy at the day job, so some of the stuff is out of sync. We'll get this together eventually. You know, it'll be like, I think like June we'll get this together finally. And by we, I mean me. It is 100% on me right now. Trey is always ready to go. Trey's ready to talk ball at the drop of a hat. So I'm gonna carry my weight here eventually, Trey.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, nothing more I love than talking ball, and yeah, had a fun weekend of ball watching this past weekend. 3 games in 2 days in one state. I don't think very many people can say they've ever done that. So it was awesome to be able to make it happen. And big shout out to all the Rattlers, the Wranglers, and the Sugar Skulls for hooking things up and their hospitality. It was a really fun weekend.
No, it looked like a great time. I mean, good turnouts, good. I mean, some good games, some games that we might have wanted to be a little bit more competitive.
Right.
But, you know, plenty of scoring to go around. You got to see plenty of good players. It was an interesting weekend in the IFL. You know, week 3 coming in. We got a lot of teams going places. We got teams that we think are going to be good. We had some matchups that we were kind of excited for with the Strike Force taking on the Rattlers. And then, of course, we had the, you know, Tulsa and San Antonio did not go the way I thought it would go. That was just that was interesting. And then Sunday night, capping it off, the one you were at, Vegas and Tucson. Tucson showed some fight, but Vegas showed that they were an absolute wagon.
Yeah, Vegas is just on another level right now, and they made up for all their shortcomings in their opening game against Green Bay, where they scored 7 points in the first half. This weekend, it was quite the opposite. Like, they were probably the most efficient I've ever seen an IFL team. I think they only had 22 offensive plays, and they scored on 7 of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's
pretty good.
Yeah,
33% of your plays are touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you want from them? Like, that's just it. Like, if you're coming out firing on all cylinders like that, that's just spectacular. I mean, it's Jaden Delora, really, really good at football. I don't know if you realize this. Good at indoor football.
Yeah, and he's got a hell of a cast around him, and I think that they complement each other so well. Where Quentin Randolph, all IFL wide receiver last year, picking up right where he left off. He had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns, pretty good. Deshaun Stoudemire had a really good game. Seneca McKee had a bit of a coming out party there, 2 touchdowns on the day, and this Vegas team, and we're not even talking about Josh Tomas, who was a monster on the kick return and seemed to set up the Vegas offense with half the field for the majority of the game. It's like, okay, yeah, it's going to be an easy game when you only have 20 yards to the end zone every time you touch it.
No, I mean, that's just anytime you can get on the short field, that just really does it. And then just also, you know, the defense played great. I mean, the final score didn't feel as close as it actually was, just because it felt like every time you looked up, Vegas was all over the Sugar Skulls. I mean, the Sugar Skulls scored 26 of their 43 points in the second half, you know, and it was just Vegas felt like they took the foot off the gas early. They scored 40. They almost outscored Tucson in the first half. They could have not scored another point and lost by 1. That's insane.
Yeah, I like what Tucson's got going on, and they were just outmatched, and that's a tough week one for them as the defending champs who are coming off of a game that they're pissed off about. So that's a tough one. But I really liked what Draylon Ellis was doing at quarterback. I wasn't sure what to expect, and the Tucson season is going to ride or die on how well QB1 does. And if Draylon Ellis keeps up the play that he did and keeps improving, I think they're going to be in a really good spot moving forward. Tamorian Terry was great at wideout. Brian Smith was great at wideout. It feels like Tucson has a lot of the key pieces there, and they're going to build on this. And I think Draylon Ellis is an early Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate based on how he played in his first ever IFL game. 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. That's pretty good.
No, I mean, it's huge. And just kind of looking ahead, like in San Antonio, we had a complete about face in San Antonio. We thought Fred Payton was going to be great for San Antonio, and he turned out to very much not be great. It's, and I don't know if that's Fred's fault, if that's the offense's fault. I'm not exactly sure. Did he get hurt or did he get benched?
His feelings got hurt. That was the only thing that got hurt.
His feelings definitely got hurt.
And it was shocking to me because Joaquin Collazo was the incumbent starter, and so Fred Payton comes in, and when I saw Fred Payton got the start, I was a little surprised. I was like, it seems like, especially with Bain being there last year in a smaller role, already having that familiarity with Joaquin, it felt like you would roll with Joaquin first and see what happens. But Joaquin eventually came into the game and kind of righted the ship a little bit. But this Tulsa defense, they are intense. They hit hard. It seems like the field is tilted every single time they're on defense. They are just running downfield every single play. And they hit hard. And this was the first game that TJ Edwards was back at quarterback for the Oilers. So took a little time for him to ramp up. But in the second half, he was starting to throw the ball around the yard a little bit and starting to look like the TJ of old arm-wise. Didn't really see one of his patented tuck and runs yet. But hey, that was week 1, knocking the rust off. We'll see what the next couple weeks have in store.
Yeah, I mean, and Collazo currently leading the IFL in yards per game, which is always exciting. Always nice when the guy comes in as the backup, moves the ball well. Would have been nice to see a little bit more scoring. Very low scoring affair. And it felt like it was a lot of hit or miss. Also, always great to see Bailey Hale on the field. Love a good Bailey Hale appearance.
Yeah, both Tulsa and San Antonio, they were able to drive down the field and gain chunk yardage, but that last 5 to 6 yards, both defenses on both sides were just latching it down, and they were making it extremely difficult. Tulsa got rejected at the goal line in the opening drive of the game, and that's something you usually don't see. It happened to a TJ Edwards run offense. So both offenses took some time to get some things figured out. Again, they were able to get 10-yard chunk play, 15-yard chunk play. But for Tulsa, their worst enemy was themselves because they had a ton of penalties that really put them behind. And San Antonio had some penalties in inopportune times that really put them in a bad spot as well. So not the cleanest game for either side, but if you're Tulsa, an ugly win is better than a beautiful loss, as they said on the broadcast. So I'm sure they'll take that.
Yeah. And, here we are heading into the third week of play for some of these teams. And we're going to have, kind of a lighter week this week. 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. We get 2 on Yahoo, 2 on overnight. Nice little balance there, one leading into the other. And we get the home opener for Orlando down there, the Pirates, opening up the Kia Center for the world of indoor football this weekend. Do you want to get to that at the end, or do you want to recap the NAL week 4 first, and then we'll kind of hit the forward-looking stuff at the end?
We can hit the forward-looking stuff at the end. I did want to touch on the Saturday games real quick before we did that. The Sharks and Wranglers, heading into that game, I was a little hesitant on the Sharks. I thought they had some good pieces, but I wasn't sure how it would all mix. But Jimmy Robinson, man, he looked unbelievable. He looked like the Jimmy Robinson of old, where there was a few plays where they had him dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage, and he wiggle his way somehow would turn nothing into a gain of 8. It was like, how? I'm 30 feet away, and I can't believe I just saw that. So Jackson, go ahead.
I'm trying to think about this. I'm trying to remember the game because I watched a lot of indoor and arena over the weekend. Is this stat line right? 15 attempts for 4 yards. That doesn't feel right, but it also
it's not right. It's not right, but I know why it's the way it is. So there was a play in the third quarter where they handed off the ball to him and he got hit like as soon as the ball was coming to him, and the ball went backwards 20 yards and they recovered it, but it went down as like a minus 24-yard run for Jimmy Robinson. So even then, I don't think it's fully accurate, but that's why it's as wonky as it is.
Did he recover? Did he recover the ball, or?
I want to say Cahoon, the quarterback, recovered the ball, but I think that's why the stats are the way that they are. Because I mean,
because if he recovers it, it's on him. If he recovers it, it's on him. That's just, the unfortunate circumstances here. It's the quirks of it's the quirk. I was like, I didn't think he had like that inefficient of a game of 15 for 4, but he had three touchdowns in his longest 10. So one big negative play makes sense now. And he was, 2 catches for 29 yards in the passing game is good. He was efficient. He made it move, and Cahoon was good, 11 of 21 for 175, 3 touchdowns. Yeah. The Sharks were very comfortable in this game in all phases, which was nice to see. It wasn't necessarily something I was fully expecting. And, Marquell Wade absolutely making the jump. As the number 1 option for the Sharks was huge. 3 for 54 and a touchdown, making the impact plays. And that's just, that's what he did. We saw him do that the past 2 years in Albany and just seeing him now go and do that in Jacksonville, with Jacksonville adding that element, was something we talked about in the preseason, that James Cahoon and Marquell Wade felt like it could be a really strong boost for that team.
Yeah, and I was impressed with the way Cahoon was really able to push the ball downfield, where Jimmy was able to keep that front 4 honest, and Cahoon was able to stretch him out, and he was distributing the ball pretty evenly as well. And then defensively, Jacksonville had the Wranglers offense in hell for the majority of the day. Well, I think the Wranglers had themselves in hell for a majority of the day. But Mark Orozco on special teams, he was booming kicks, and he had like 3 or 4 kickoffs hit the roof that looked like they were going to be good for deuces. So if you're in a bigger building, you probably add 3 or 4 deuces to Mark Orozco's total, and it's scary what this Jacksonville team can be. And I was impressed that they were able to put it all together so quickly.
Yeah, and like Naz has looked good. Naz just feels like, I think Naz is missing, it feels like almost a receiver. Like they need somebody who's going to win more for Atkins. I think they're missing that right now. Karan Ashley and Stephen Lewis and Marlon Cook are all okay, but it would be great to see them add just like one more receiving weapon just to really open that up a bit more. I think that's the biggest thing that I saw, was it felt like everything was very forced.
Yeah, Kobe Smith is their clear number 1, and he went out with a upper body head injury in the San Diego game. But Naz also has a wide receiver. Now, let me just throw this at you. If you had a 6'6" wide receiver that had 4 inches over every DB, would you throw it to them in the red zone?
Yeah, every time. I've seen that be very successful. We've seen it be very successful in the NAL, in the AF1. I don't know why the IFL hasn't caught on to this. IFL coaches, IFL GMs, call me, okay? We're going to get in on Adam and Trey's 6'7" receiver camp, okay?
Yes.
Trey and I are just going to go start finding 6'7" dudes, teach them to catch and high point. We're gonna make dollars. We're gonna make dollars on this one.
Yeah, and that's the thing that was puzzling. It just seemed like schematically Naz was getting in their own way. Like they had the ball multiple times, 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal. They had a 6'6" wide receiver out wide. They weren't throwing it to him. It's like, guys, your tallest DB is 6'1" on the opposite side. That's a 5-inch difference. Like, just throw it up once. And they didn't seem to do it. So it's little stuff like that where it's like, I know your wide receiver one is out, but you have this big guy who the only way they're getting him the ball is on hitch routes and screens. It's like, all right, I don't know if I want the 6'6" guy catching screen passes. I don't think that's the best use of his skill set, right? So Naz, they looked really good in their opening game against San Diego. They just looked like they were getting in their own way a little bit. And some passes that Ramon Atkins-Frazier was throwing like wide receivers were 10 yards apart, and he was splitting it right down the middle where nobody was. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
Who's wrong here? Something's clearly off. So
Yeah,
Naz, I don't think you press the panic button, but it needs to be within eyesight right now. Like you just need to know where it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we'll know a lot more. I mean, next weekend really starts things in earnest, not this weekend, but next weekend, because all 14 teams in action next week and pretty heavy doses of games over the next couple weeks as well. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
We'll really start to see some differentiation. Was it just opening game or two jitters, or is it a pattern that we should be panicking about?
Yeah. Well, I tell you who will not be panicking is Arizona Rattlers fans, because they struck gold getting the reigning IFL MVP, and it didn't feel
really
like
the reigning IFL MVP who's been a stud for 2 years is a gold signing.
Who would have thought?
Hot take, Trey.
Yeah. Who would have thought? But yeah, he stepped right in. I counted the plays. It took 3 plays for Max Myler to get on the scoreboard. 3 plays. That's it. And so this team wasn't even playing at full strength either. They had a few of their offensive weapons not in the game. The
defense was spectacular, holding the strike force to only 27. I mean, Nate Davis is a really good player, and the strike force are a good team. So to be held to 27 points, the Rattlers defense was just, they showed up. The Rattlers showed up to open up this series, showed up at home in a big way here, and that was big.
Yeah, big revenge game for Arizona, and they reloaded in all the right places, and a lot of the pieces they brought in performed well. And San Diego, another situation where they kind of couldn't get out of their own way either. They had the ball at the 1-yard line on 2 different drives, and they ended up with 0 points. So it's hard to beat the Arizona Rattlers when you're doing that to yourself. Then, balls bouncing off of receivers' hands into Rattlers' hands for an interception. It's like, that's not the recipe for success. So I still feel like San Diego will be fine, but Arizona just got hot immediately, and that's bad news for the rest of the West, because years past they've done the same thing. Or last year, they think they started like 6-0 or 7-0, I want to say. So they got off to a hot start, and you can make the case that this roster is even more talented than last year's. So yeah, Arizona looks great. San Diego, they'll be fine. But yeah, it was a heck of an atmosphere as well to be in the building for it. There was pockets of diehards, and I saw some Sed Bonner jerseys. I saw some Cedric Walker jerseys. I saw some Jared Harrington jerseys. I saw a couple Calvin Schexnayder jerseys. I'm like, I am loving the aesthetic of what's going on around me right now. Like, this is incredible.
No, great. Ball knowers right there. I hope you went up and said, do you know ball? I hope that's just ball. Just ball.
Yeah. Ball.
Speaking of ball, heading over to the National Arena League, someone who might be considering hitting the panic button, and I'm shocked they haven't hit it harder yet, the Onomaha Beef.
Onomaha.
Dead last in the NAL right now, and lost a tough one to Southwest Kansas, and it's just, you got to start to wonder at some point, like, what's the answer for Omaha here? And they got a tough game this weekend going up against Sioux City. It doesn't get easier.
No. Yeah, I haven't watched this game in full, but from what I've seen and what I've heard from folks, it looks like Omaha's offense kind of got things going on the right path. And the way I heard a Beef fan describe it was beautiful. He said it would be acceptable if this is what we saw in week 1, but it's not week 1. It's week 3, and we're 0-3. I was like, that's fair. That's fair. So they brought in James Summers this past week and got him in on the action. 3 passing touchdowns, 217 yards through the air. Able to connect with some folks and get people involved in the action. But it's a tough stretch to open the season. But that's what happens when you call yourselves the New York Yankees of arena football, right? Like you're going to get everyone's best.
Best
And
shot
so,
every single week, and you're going to go into Southwest Kansas early in the
yeah.
year, and this could just be worse later in the season because Matt Struck is only going to get more comfortable, and Demarius Washington is going to keep doing Demarius Washington things. Like it's just that's a terrifying tandem right there. That's just going to keep doing big things week in and week out.
Well, something I saw from Southwest Kansas that I really enjoyed over the past couple of years, I've had a running bit on social media with Southwest Kansas, begging them to go under center. I'm like, Gary, I have your phone number. I've texted him. I'm like, please, just go under center once. And
he did it for you. He did it
exactly for me. He sent me the clip after the game. No words, nothing accompanying.
That's what Gary.
Just the clip. And I opened it up and I was like, the Mad Lads, they did it. I can't believe this has happened. So I was so happy to see that. I'm like, yes, let's go. So shout out to Coach Gary Thomas for going under center and scoring.
They have a center now. Like, I think that's the big thing is they've been very undersized at the center position the past 2 years. And honest to God, last year, if you asked me, what would I rather have? I would rather have Jalen Morton with 2 yards of steam than under center. Like that's just it. Like I would much rather have Jalen Morton with time and space to make a move than being under center and not having space to make a move. So that last year makes sense. And again, everybody talks about the one Salina game last year where it's like and the honest to God answer is if Morton and the receiver are on the same page, that game's over. Salina's out the playoffs. They're cooked. We get to see Oregon go to Albany.
Yeah.
You know, something or you know, or we're talking about, you know, in an arena crown in Southwest Kansas if something really wild happens. But it's just one of those things where it's like it was like it worked. It was the call, and it's like it's often the call because I have talked to Gary many times after those games, and it's like he's like, yeah, but you saw that play. I'm like, I know I saw that play. He's like, if that play works, no one's asking any questions because we put it away. And that's just it. It's just been bad luck. And this might be the year they finally put it together. You know, I don't know that Struck is as good as Jalen Morton, but Struck is pretty damn good at quarterback. And he still has Demarius Washington, who is big and gets open everywhere. He's not a 6'6" receiver, but he's a 6'4" receiver who's always open.
Yeah, that's just as good. Yeah, so I know Southwest Kansas has was a little rough out of the gate in their opener, but it looks like they were starting to put some things together. And like you said, Matt Struck is only going to get better from here. And the fact that Matt Struck didn't have a great game and they still managed to beat the Omaha Beef, that's a big deal. So Omaha's still looking for answers. It looks like they're getting closer to it, but to your point, this upcoming week, it's not getting any easier for them with Sioux City on the board.
No, not at all. I mean, in Sioux City, lost a tough one to Pueblo 39-34. Like they battled the entire way. Pueblo might be the class of the NAL right now. It's tough. I'm excited to see them play Salina this weekend. That's going to be a very telling game. We have Salina and Pueblo and Colorado and Southwest Kansas going head to head. I think that's going to be very revelatory games for all 4 of those teams. The big question for Colorado is also going to be, is Paxton Lynch back and healthy? Because Colorado battled and only lost by 6 points with Lex Rosario at quarterback.
Yeah, they were running Wildcat.
I mean, have we seen anything have we heard anything about Paxton Lynch?
I haven't heard anything in particular one way or another, and I don't think there was any transactions on the wire indicating that they were going out and getting a guy. So, oh no, they got Javin Kilgo.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
That's a revenge spot right there. Javin Kilgo revenge game, baby. Let's go. Oh God. Oh, we got friends staying with us this weekend for Easter. Get ready to learn arena ball. I am here for a Javin Kilgo revenge spot. Is that in Salina too? That is Javin Kilgo going up against Salina in the pizza box. Appointment viewing, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, they're in Southwest Kansas. Damn it. Oh,
No, it's not a revenge spot.
I was so ready. Oh, yeah. I was so ready for
Well,
that.
at least it's an opponent that Javin Kilgo is very familiar with from
When do we get?
recent seasons.
Do we get Colorado and Salina ever? We do. Oh my gosh! If I got to wait until week 13 for a Jalvin Kilgo revenge game, that's disappointing. Hey, Commissioner, can we make an executive decision? Can we switch the Kansas opponents this week?
Just for fun.
It's close. It's close enough. It's close enough. Just give the
Yeah.
people what we want. We want the Javin Kilgo revenge game in the pizza box. That's what we want.
Well, Javin Kilgo coming in and hopefully being able to be the straw that stirs the
That's
drink.
a great choice. I couldn't believe he wasn't on a team. Like sometimes I really wonder like what the plan is, because it's like I look at the landscape and I'm like, Javin Kilgo wasn't signed. I look at the landscape and it's like there's just guys that aren't on rosters where it's like, why isn't this guy on a roster right now? Like Charles Hall. Where is Charles Hall right now after a spectacular 2025? No one wanted him, or is he just good? Like he might just be good. He might have decided to retire. Maybe he's in Europe. But it's the fascinating, like, can I get the deep dive after the fact about where these guys are? Because there's playmakers out there. There's quarterbacks, there's receivers, there's everything. And there's teams with a high need. So it'd be great to see some of those guys on the field, and it's going to be great to see Javin Kilgo. So I got myself all excited that it was a Javin Kilgo revenge spot, but I'll take Javin Kilgo taking on Matt Struck because, Colorado battled against Salina. It's going to be a battle this weekend, and Lex Rosario is going to be back in his natural position. So it'll be good. It's a good weekend of football. And Amarillo and Dallas. Amarillo and Dallas have looked rough, but they get to play each other. So they're very level alike here. So that's going to be nice. Yeah. They've struggled. Like Amarillo put up 23 last week against Louisiana, who might be turning a corner. They're just like so weird. And Amarillo beat Louisiana. So it's going to be interesting to see what Dallas does this weekend. Dallas has been in a rough spot. So we'll see. If Dallas is going to turn it around, this is going to be the weekend they do it.
Yeah, because the top half of the NAL is looking very, very competitive, and you look on the schedule. I'm not sure if it doesn't happen this week. I'm not sure where Dallas finds it.
Yeah, not even the top half, like the top 5-6 teams, like. Louisiana and Amarillo are currently tied for that 6th playoff spot,
Well, at the end of the month, Dallas does go into Omaha. So Dallas is above Omaha in the standings. So maybe Dallas beats up on the Cupcakes over in Omaha. Maybe that's where they get that number one.
Trey firing bullets, calling them the Cupcakes over in Omaha.
It's a joke. Relax. Put arrows down.
Oh, no. Bring the arrows. Trey's been skating on this nice guy routine for too long. Bring some heat. Let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, Colorado, man, I was looking at this one. This was a fascinating box score to see because, to your point, Paxton Lynch went out, 2 touchdowns, threw 2 touchdowns and interception. Lex Rosario went in and also threw 2 touchdowns. So even though he was running the Wildcat, he was pretty impactful. He's pretty efficient in what he was able to do. And if you're able to get him
out of your emergency quarterback is a nice game.
That's pretty good. All things considered. So you get him back out at wide receiver with Bazette Woodley and Stephen Newbold. Kilgo's got no reason not to be successful stepping into a situation like that.
No, and Tracy Brooks did all the Tracy Brooks things over the weekend for Salina. So he'll do it. He'll just keep being the guy there. It's just, and Evan Lewandowski didn't look bad either. It's just, there's a lot of good football being played, very even football being played. So week 5 of the NAL season very much got us excited here.
Yeah, and I think parity was a big word for the NAL these past couple of years, and this year they have a lot of it where, 4 or 5 different teams right now you could point to them and be like, all right, they could go on a crazy run right now, given how they've been playing and how the roster's set up, how the schedule is. So it's a good thing for the NAL, and I'm happy to see it.
No, that's great. Jumping over real quick, we'll just do a brief AF1 preview. We are about 2 weeks, a week and a half out, and we got a jam-packed week 1 in the AF1. We got a Saturday game and 3 Sunday games. Football back on Sunday in arena football, so that's going to be exciting. Anything in particular? What are you kind of paying attention to this year in the AF1?
I think the easy answer is to see what Super Team Albany trots out there and what they're going to look like. But I'm really interested in the teams that are making their debut against each other in the AF1 in that week 1, with the Michigan Arsenal facing the Kentucky Barrels. Kentucky has an outstanding roster. I think they have one of the best in the entire landscape of 50-yard football. And then Michigan's got a pretty dang good one as well, with Malik Henry at quarterback and Sean Liotta at calling the shots there. So them getting matched up in week 1, that's going to be very telling to see where each of them are at. A nice little litmus test for each other right out of the gate on that Sunday.
Yeah, and I think the big question is going to be, it's not a question anymore. It's very clear. It's Dalton Oliver is the guy in Kentucky. So it's how good can Dalton Oliver be? Luke Bailey was released today by the Barrels. So, but he's got no shortage of receivers to throw to. So that's going to be the big thing. And the defense is going to be good. Looking forward to tomorrow, seeing some pictures of the field. There was a brief one that I saw, but I don't know that it was accurate. So I'm waiting to see the official one, to see that logo displayed. And I think Michigan's got a great team too. And we're going to get to see Malik Henry back on the field and slinging the ball to Dan Williams, who's just spectacular. Yeah. And don't forget Trevin Macon. Like Dan Williams, Trevin Macon, and by the way, Jairus Grissom and Kenny Brewer making stuff happen as well. It's a really good Michigan team. And then, that one feels like fireworks. That one feels like grab your popcorn, buckle up, 5 p.m. appointment viewing there at Truist Arena on a Hometown Sports Network. So home team, hometown, I don't know, home team, hometown, something like that. One of those. And then, like you said, the other 2 teams making their debut. We do get some later AF1, not quite AF1 after dark, but late AF1 with an 8 p.m. kickoff between Beaumont and Oceanside. It's going to be interesting to see Beaumont and Oceanside.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to leave that one.
Yeah, it feels like Beaumont's running it back with a lot of the pieces from last year's team, but the adjustment from the indoor style to that arena style is going to be worth monitoring. But then Oceanside, on the other hand, they're coming out and saying it like, hey, we're building on a lot of local talent, and they're trying to stick local. And there are worse places to pick local talent from than Southern California, right? So it's a pretty good spot for them, but it might be a big-ish leap into this league in particular for them. So we'll know a lot about each of those teams as well. But I think that one of the more fun storylines in the AF1 is going to be based on today, the Battle of Bigfoot. Because apparently there's contract negotiations, there's disputes, there's breach of agreements on who has the rights for Bigfoot. Lightning are saying they have it. The Wolfpack are saying they have it. So that might be the new name for this rivalry, the Battle for Bigfoot.
One thing I do know about an AF1 standard player contract is it is impossible to sign someone to a multi-year deal. Yeah. So any signing by Oregon, I don't believe would have standing if it's a multi-year deal for a player. That's just kind of my understanding there. And if the paperwork isn't processed, player's not on your roster until the paperwork's processed. So we'll see who processes the paperwork first. That might be our off-field comment right there. Yeah. Just so we're clear. I think that's it. But make sure you folks, that's a life lesson. process your paperwork, because until the paperwork's processed by the people, it doesn't count.
Yeah, the line from the AF1 Lightning Instagram, I'm reading it verbatim here. The Lightning have had Bigfoot on a fully restricted lifetime contract for the past 2 seasons. Bigfoot, you need a new agent, brother. Like, that's a terrible deal. A fully restricted lifetime contract. Bigfoot, you're probably a 6'7" wide receiver. Hit us up.
No, he's an edge. Mike Leach got it right. He is an edge. He's an edge rusher / Mac rusher, 100% through and through.
Yeah, so they play each other 4 times this year. So the Battle of Bigfoot Chapter 1 is going to be a fun one to watch.
It's going to be a good one. I mean, I think it's going to be an exciting game. It's just, you got Dalton Cole with his compliments of receivers who's going to be back. And the question mark is going to be, what does Oregon's defense look like this year without their defensive coordinator, with their defensive coordinator being on the other sidelines this year?
Right.
Because if Washington can step up the defense and Vincent Espinoza can do Vincent Espinoza things, Washington, who's going to win 3 out of 4? That's my question. Who wins 3 out of 4? Whoever wins 3 out of 4 is going to be in a really good position to make the playoffs this year and, pick up one of either the 5 or the 6 seed, maybe even push for the 4 seed. But that's going to be tough because you've got Albany, Nashville, Kentucky, and Michigan that feel like, I'm penciling those 4 in for the top 4 seeds. Now, Michigan or Kentucky could struggle. Injuries happen. And then how do they pivot if they lose a key contributor, particularly a quarterback? And again, Vincent Espinoza, does he get elevated right now, having a stellar wide receiver core with Akil Greer, Quintavious Workman, and whether it's Jojo Olabryce, Philip Harding, or Brandon Lombana? I mean, there's 5 receivers right there. I don't think Washington might carry all, but I don't think they're going to carry 5 receivers. So who are the 4 in Washington? And you're rotating guys in, and you're always going to be fresh, which is going to create issues. And you're going to be able to just bully teams in the red zone with Akil Greer at 6'4" and Quintavious Workman at 6'7".
Yeah. But I think for me, the biggest thing I'm going to be paying attention to for the Wolfpack is on the offensive line, because that's where they really struggled last year, where you can have the most exotic playbook in the world. If your quarterback has 1.2 seconds to get the ball because he's about to get crushed, that's not helping anybody, right? So they need some help on that front line to be able to buy the quarterback some time to be able to get these long plays so you can get the ball to Workman and Greer and all them.
Yeah, and I think they did do a lot to improve that. I think that'll be better. I mean, they got a lot of new guys in there. Mohamed El Azazi, big 6'6", 330. Jake Oliphant, 6'5", 300. Justin Collier, a little smaller but still good. Donovan Harden, little smaller, but still solid as a rookie. So there's lots of options there along the offensive line for Washington. And it'll just be interesting to see how they gel. And then, of course, we can't forget, we got a battle of champions, kind of, here with the Minnesota Monsters and the Albany Firebirds. I mean, the Firebirds, as we said, super team. And the question is, how does Minnesota look? How does this TAL roster translate?
Yeah. And also, I need a refresher on who's actually on the Minnesota roster, because we've had a full offseason of this person signing, just kidding, they're released. This person signed, just kidding, they're released. So I need a bit of a refresher myself to make sure I know who's actually on this team. But
and we'll dive more into that next week. I mean, I think the big thing is it's just Javonte Johnson's quarterbacking this team. Caden Walters is backing him up. And then the receiving room, Andre Williams, Clarence Williams, Donovan Johnson, Jamal Couch, and Ladarian McAllister is probably anchoring that group. So I'm a little curious. I don't know. I know less about those guys, so I'm curious to see what that looks like offensively. And they're going to need a lot of firepower because Albany brought back Castronova, Dwayne Brown, Darian Townsend, and signed some other guys. I forget his first name, but Donovan Ollie, who was with Oregon for a little bit last year, is now in Albany. That is a stacked Albany roster again. And Sam Castronova is Sam Castronova. He's going to do his thing.
Yeah. The leap from TAL to AF1 is worth noting. The move from NAL to AF1 with Beaumont is worth noting. So we've got a nice little hodgepodge of teams in the AF1 this season, kicking off in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So heading back to the IFL, closing it out here. We got, like we said, 4 games this weekend. Interesting. We get 2 Easter games. So not exactly something I always would have thought about, but not a bad thing. You know, we got Arizona in starting on Saturday. We got Tucson in New Mexico. That feels like a very competitive game. Both of those teams were competitive in their opener and now playing each other. It's very curious how they come back in week 2. I feel like Jerome Johnson gives New Mexico an edge there, and I believe they are in New Mexico. Tingley's New Mexico, right?
That's correct. Yeah, they will be in New Mexico, which if you're in the greater Albuquerque area, they're giving away free tickets on X. So head over to the New Mexico Chupacabra's X page and get yourself some free tickets. So
love free tickets for free ball.
There you go. Yeah.
Do we have lines on any of these yet or no?
Not yet. They've typically been publishing these on like Friday afternoon. So to me, honestly,
they know we record on Wednesdays. We're gonna have to, Trey. We're gonna have to do like a quick 10-minute hit on Fridays to get ahead of these lines. We can't let corporate gambling take us down like that.
It's very selfish of them to do so. Where it feels like the edge would go to New Mexico, but man, there's just something about this Tucson team. Like I would not be surprised if they're like 3.5, 4.5 point favorites in this one. But because I said that, it's probably going to be flipped the entire opposite way, which I'll take the +4.5, +3.5 as well. So,
yeah. And then we head up to Iowa with the Barnstormers playing host to the Blizzard, and the Blizz look really good, and Iowa looks Iowa-tastic, shall we say?
They're figuring things out. They're getting some things together.
I mean, and this is a tough game to try to figure some things out against a defense that's been overwhelming. And we had questions about Liam Thompson to start the year. I have a lot less questions about Liam Thompson right now. And that's 100%. Scary. That's scary that they went from Max Mailer to Liam Thompson. And it's just like, didn't miss a beat on offense.
Yeah, first time Green Bay's ever been 2-0 to start the season, which is absurd to think about, considering how many years they've been around.
How big do you think the spread's going to be between Green Bay and Iowa?
We haven't seen a double-digit one yet, but we might.
Can they cover a double-digit spread is the question. Like, we know they win, but can they cover – like, what's the biggest number where you're like, they can't cover this?
Probably 13.5. I'd have some hesitation.
Yeah.
I think that just because they're in 2 totally different opposite areas of the spectrum right now. Where you look at the power rankings that they are, the coaches poll that they put out every week on the IFL social pages, Green Bay's at the top, Iowa's at the bottom. That's just the reality of where they are now. Iowa has some nice pieces where they can make some noise, but game number 2 against a Blizzard team that looks unbelievable and has knocked off the defending champions and presumably a playoff team in Fishers, that's a tough draw. It's going to be a tough week for Iowa.
Handily beat them, like no issues across the board. So speaking of super teams, we got Quad City in Orlando, like we talked about, opening the Kia Center. Yeah. And this one feels like it's got barn burner potential. Like Daquan Neal hasn't had himself a game yet. The Steamwheelers have been a little slow to start. And the Pirates looked good against a tough New Mexico team. And we look omniscient with what we said earlier in the year about the Orlando Pirates quarterback situation. We were like, we're not sure that's not an upgrade losing Talia Tagovailoa. I can't.
Turn the ball over. Yeah.
Yes, turn the ball over. Because Paxton De Laurent was spectacular. 15 of 18. I mean, sure, he only threw for 85 yards, but
that's the kicker, though.
Like, he only threw for 85 yards, but he also ran for 23. He was clinical. He was efficient.
Yeah.
He did what he was asked to do. And I don't know, when I watched him, when I looked at the box score after the fact, 85 felt low because I felt like he was a lot better than 85 yards.
Yeah, there's a phrase in NASCAR where you want to avoid the big one in a big race. Paxton De Laurent did that last time they played. He avoided the big one.
He made some plays too. He made some plays when they needed it.
He made some plays when they needed it, but he didn't have an absolute backbreaker that we've seen come out of the Pirates organization over the past calendar year. So I think that was the key for them, where you don't need him to go out and throw for 200. You just need him not to turn the ball over, which is what we saw from some quarterbacks last year. So this is going to be a much different situation for Orlando. They're facing a much different team than what they did in New Mexico, and this Quad City team that seems to have got back into a little bit of a flow state. Nice little bounce back game against Iowa. And this Quad City team is stacked, but you can't take away from how stacked this Orlando team is at the skill positions and on the defensive line and in the defensive secondary too. So this is going to be a really, really good game that I highly suggest people checking out if they haven't watched a game yet this season.
And before we get too far, this is a great question that I did want to pull up. Does 85 yards show that Orlando is relying too heavily on the short passing game? And the answer is possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was by design too, because we talked about it before the season. Puka Williams is the motor that keeps that offense rolling. He had 4 touchdowns in that game. So they didn't need Paxton to do too much, because once you get to the 15-yard line, it's Puka time. Like you just hand him the ball and let him go. So, but I don't think that same mentality or that same game plan is going to work this upcoming week.
I think there's 3 really good games this weekend. I'm very excited for 3 of these games. One of them less so. And the fourth one, and possibly the best one, the most impactful one, certainly. Like, this is a top tier battle here. East meets West. Fisher's Freight, Arizona Rattlers. Actually, sold up. We skipped over it real quick. Who's favored, Orlando versus Quad City? I think it's Orlando purely because they're at home, but I think it's going to be like 2.5, 3.5. I don't think it's a big number.
Nah, I feel like it's probably going to be the other way. Like, it feels like Quad City was a lot more from what I've seen with the lines. There's a lot of recency bias with the lines, where they base the line off of how you did the last time you played. And since Quad City ran over Iowa, I think they're going to get a little bit of the love here. But Orlando being the home team, home field advantage is worth what, 3-4 points. So I don't know. It could be pretty close to a pick 'em.
And then closing it out, like we said, Arizona versus Fishers, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Fishers Freight Event Center, Yahoo Sports, Sunday Night Football.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. This is going to be a great game. Arizona looked amazing, but Fishers' defenses look spectacular. This defense versus Max Mailer and the Rattlers, like popcorn, absolute cinema. Yeah.
It's going to be a great game, and I think we're getting the 2026 debut of Brent Stover on the play-by-play. So we're gonna be in for a treat on the Sunday night of the Easter weekend. And Fishers is a great venue. It's going to be 2 great teams, a great venue, a great prime time Sunday night indoor football time slot. Probably give a slight edge to the Rattlers just based on how well they looked this past week. And Fishers had a rough first half against Green Bay, but came storming back and made a game of it. But regardless of the line, this is going to be a really, really good one. And it feels like an over-under might be the play here, if depending on what they throw at you. I could see this probably being like an 85, 86.5, somewhere in that range. And
I think I'm smashing the over. Like, I think I'm on over all the way up to 90.
That's fair, man. That's fair because Arizona is, they can be responsible for 50 on their own. They proved it. They nearly hit 50.
I think each of these teams is a 50-point team. I mean, and that's the thing. It's for a lot of these teams, it's you got to show me that you can score 50 on a regular basis for me to really believe in you. Like, defense is great, but you need to show the ability to score 50, and you need to make me feel like you can score 60.
Yeah.
If you do that, that's Adam's recipe for a contender. Score 50 regularly and show me that you can score 60. Like if you take your foot off the gas and you don't get to 60, that's fine. But I need to see 60-point output. And that was like last year, that was a big question I had about the Storm initially was, can they get to 60? And oh yeah, they could get to 60. Like that team
Right.
came out and put all those questions to rest. And the same thing with Salina by the end of the season. Like, so I think it's harder earlier in the season because the offenses aren't clicking. Defense definitely has an advantage, but we're going to start to get a feel for which of these teams are 60-point teams. Because if you can be a threat to score every time you're on the field, a legitimate threat to score, not like theoretical, like we got to stop you or else you're scoring, that matters. That's a big, big thing for me.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at the teams that made it all the way to the IFL championship last year, they checked those boxes too. Green Bay scored 70 on multiple occasions. Vegas broke the 60 and 70 mark multiple occasions, and they both ended up in the championship, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah. So anything else you want to wrap up here as we're finishing out?
I think that's it. I think we touched on just about everything. Yeah, good upcoming slate of IFL action this upcoming weekend. And yeah, just wanted to kind of put a bow on this past weekend for me. Again, big shout out to the Arizona teams for the hospitality. And if you're in Arizona, if you're in Arizona adjacent, make sure you find a way to get to one of those games because it's a good time. Arizona Rattlers, they've been doing it for so long. They've got a good thing going. Northern Arizona is a nice little cozy venue that has some diehards, and it gets loud in there. It gets deceptively loud in that Northern Arizona arena. And then Tucson, they've got a good thing going as well. So I'm excited to see how they grow on and off the field in 2026. And yeah, we got another road trip coming up in the next couple of weeks. So be sure you're tuned in to Off the Wall Socials to learn a little bit more about that and stay in the loop.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is we're all just counting down to next week. We've got 3 leagues in play.
Yeah.
I don't know that I got a laptop. I got a TV. I might have to get a second TV and a phone going because I can have a phone doing games and then a phone for my Twitter. So I'm going to have.
Do you have a tablet?
I don't have a tablet. I have a desktop. So maybe I'm going to have to do laptop, desktop. Second, I could set up my old desktop too. Like that might be how I get the screens. I might just have to see how many games are going at once, and I might just see how many screens I can set up just purely as a thought exercise.
Yeah. Listen, it's not for the weak. Only the strong can pull it off. So I believe in you.
Only the strong can know ball.
Yes.
And just one last question, and I have the answer to this. We will talk about ball that happens on the field, and I'm leaving it at that.
Even then, if they limp on the field, I don't know about all that.
We will talk about we will talk about quality ball that makes it to the field.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Trey, anything you need to plug coming up? Any interviews? Anything you got?
My release schedule is a little wonky this week with travel in Arizona and all that. So new episode coming on Friday at Off the Wall FB on all the socials. So make sure you're plugged in there and got some exciting stuff coming up. Still booking a couple folks. So I don't want to, let the cat out of the bag too early, but we got some fun things lined up and I'm excited for what's ahead.
Awesome. So, and over at Alt Fantasy, we stay tuned. We're hoping to have some 50-yard news coming out here shortly to keep everybody engaged in the Alt Fantasy space. So that's Trey. I'm Adam, and we're going to get on a better schedule so that way y'all know when and where to find us. And we will see you next time.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some, and sometimes you just mess it all up. So CBS 7 kickoff is deep, and it's going to be off the net. And it's going to be grabbed by Isaiah Scott. Isaiah Scott makes one man miss the